Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to the Cowboy Chemist. And today we're going to be talking about energy drinks. Now, just to get it out of the way real fast, I am not sponsored by nor am I affiliated with Coca-Cola or Monster Bottling in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I am not sponsored by them, and these were just the cans that I had most available at my local supermarket. And so, don't come after me, Coke. At any rate, so question is, what exactly is in these things? Now, you see people drinking these things all the time. You know, they'll use them in place of coffee or tea in the morning, or if you got a guy working a night shift, he'll slam a Monster, or if you're in the service, you drink them a lot, especially if you're on a long tour of duty or something like that. So we would kind of like to know what we're putting in our bodies. Now, they put an ingredients list on the back of that can, and it's a mile long, and it's got all sorts of funny names on there, and who knows what exactly they mean. Well, I'm going to try and help you guys out with that today, if these wasps will let me here. It's kind of warmer today, and they're deciding that I might be tasty. So if I get stung on camera, y'all might get a good laugh. All right, number one, we're going to start with the first thing they mentioned, which is taurine. Taurine is a component of the bile that your liver makes. That yellowish green liquid that mainly gets secreted down into your intestines. That helps break up fatty acids and that sort of thing. So it's something that's going to help promote getting those into your cells through the cytoplasm and in towards your mitochondria. Now, believe it or not, about 0.1% of your body weight, which is roughly 90 odd grams or 3.2 ounces, is actually made of taurine, which is really pretty neat if you think about it. And your body is going to produce about 1 to 3 grams a day on its own. The next constituent they talk about is caffeine. Now, in each one of these cans here, there is 140 milligrams each, not grams, milligrams, which is still quite a lot. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant. What it does, it will inhibit the adenosine A1 receptors in your brain to where you won't feel nearly as tired as you would otherwise. And so that'll prevent acetylcholine and serotonin and a bunch of other things from bonding onto those and then making you feel tired and slow and, hey, I need to go to sleep. So it makes you feel like you're a little bit more energetic. As an interesting aside, most people get their caffeine through coffee. They actually calculated it last year. They figured that people worldwide drank about 10 million metric tons of coffee beans. So think about that next time you run down to your local Starbucks. Next ingredient up would be L-carnitine, which the L stands for levorotary. That gets into what we call stereochemistry. Levorotary and dextrorotary are just simply different ways that a molecule can be put together with the same chemical formula. So it's got the same stuff in it, but it just might be put on a different side of the molecule as you're looking at it. Now, what levocarnitine does, it's more concentrated in your skeleton or muscle tissue, and it helps break up fatty acids. That's something else that's going to do that. And it helps move those fatty acids from the cytosol. So, our taurine's got it from our intestines to the cells. Now on the inside of the cells, the carnitine is going to take a hold of that stuff and move it into the mitochondria, which you could equate to like the engine of your cell. Some people are equipped with 4 cylinders, some have V8s. It's just how it is. Next ingredient is inositol or myo-inositol. Now that's abundant in your brain tissue, and you'll see on the screen here in just a second, it's kind of a cyclic molecule with a bunch of hydroxyl groups on the outside, a bunch of those OHs. Now, what that's going to do for you is that helps with nerve signal transduction. Now, cytol or inositol tastes about half as sweet as sucrose, so you can put this into something and get a pretty good effect for it, and it not have to put in quite as much sugar into something to get it to taste the same. And that's why they include it in the ingredients. Also, your kidneys make about 2 grams of that a day from carbs. So whenever you drink one of these, you have to bear that in mind, that you're actually putting something in there that your kidneys are going to go ahead and make anyway. But the more you add from this source, the less your kidneys are going to make. So you never know what that might do to your body's equilibrium. So that's something to bear in mind. One of the next ingredients they list here is niacin. Now, niacin is vitamin B3. And they put a lot of B vitamins into these, and we're going to talk about those just a little bit. Niacin, or nicotinic acid, can be made from tryptophan, and it's a lipid modifier. And in high doses, it can actually suppress the uptake of fatty acids from the fat in your body, as opposed to what's actually in your intestines from the food that you've eaten. And so what that's going to do is, again, it's going to try to boost the energy from the food that you have. Now, if you're drinking energy drinks and you're wondering, why aren't I losing weight? I'm slamming these things all the time. Could be a reason. Next up is vitamin B6. Now, either one of these is going to be concentrated in about 250% of your daily value of what you're supposed to have of these. Now, nutritionists calculate daily value based on a 2,000 calorie diet and basically what amino acids, essential amino acids that you're going to need from day to day. So you're getting more than a day's value per can in every one of these. Vitamin B6, or pyroxidine, is important for immune and nervous system health, but too much can actually cause ataxia. Now, ataxia is where you start to lose motor function control. So if you start drinking a lot of these things and you start kind of getting the shakes a little bit and can't quite control yourself, you're starting to get ataxia. But you'd have to drink a lot of them to get there. And it can have a few other side effects too. So might want to look up like the Mayo Clinic or somebody on that to try to get a little bit better reference on what that can do. The next ingredient would be vitamin B12. Now, these cans have 490% of your daily value of that. So nearly 5 times what you're supposed to have. Now, B12, though, is pretty harmless. If you get a lot of it and you can't use it, you're more than likely just going to pee it out. It's actually called cobalamin, and it's an essential amino acid, and it's necessary for myelin, which is the lining of your nerves. And if your myelin lining starts getting undone, then your nerve signals start not being as efficient, and you lose a little bit of motor control. And that tends to happen when you have a poor diet or you're not getting enough of this amino acid from the things that you're eating. But it can also help with fatty acid and amino acid metabolism and red blood cell creation in your bone marrow. One of the last ingredients they have is pantothenic acid, and you get 400% of that, of your daily value, in each one of these cans. Now, pantothenic acid is vitamin B5, and it's used nearly everywhere in your body. It's pretty essential. Panthea, which is the root word of pantothenic, means universal in Greek. So whenever you see pantothenic acid, I mean, it's used in protein manufacture, carbohydrates, fatty acid metabolism, all sorts of things, making the alpha-keratin helicoils that make up your fingernails, and maybe even that mosquito right there that I just mashed. So it's pretty important, but one of the main things that it does is that it is essential in the creation of coenzyme A, which is necessary for oxidative phosphorylation, which is one of the ways that your body uses to make energy, if it has plenty of oxygen and nutrients in it. Now, if you get too hungry, or if you start running out of oxygen, you go into the so pantothenic acid is pretty important. Now we come to the elephant in the room. So each one of these here, these are the sugar-free kind. So they're going to use an artificial sweetener called sucralose. If you've ever heard of Splenda, something like that, that's what that is. Now, sucralose is different than sucrose, which is table sugar. And what it's going to do is it's going to make you think it's sweet, but it's not actually going to give you the calories associated with it. Now, there is some debates whether sucralose is healthy for you or not. I couldn't find any data from the FDA or CDC or anybody else saying either good or bad on it. So we're going to go with it. It's probably not going to hurt you too bad as long as you don't get too much of it. On the other hand, if you got the black can Monster, the original, or Red Bull or whatever else, they use plain old sucrose, sugar, which is made of one glucose molecule and one fructose molecule. Now that has an advantage in that your brain runs nearly exclusively on glucose. Nearly 30% of any of the sugar that you eat is going to be used to power your brain, and probably more so if you're actually using it a fair bit. Now, each one of those cans would actually have about 49 grams. If you want to see what that looks like, that's about that much right there. And I have pretty big hands, and that's a handful for me. And if you want to see it next to one of these cans here, there it is. So you could see it would nearly fill up about half of that can with sugar. So next time you drink one, you might want to think about it. On the other hand, it does seem like they have some pretty good effects. So probably would want to have the adage moderation in all things and use only when needed. But as they say sometimes, energy tastes pretty good.